Hey guys, Hazard Shield K9, and today I want to talk to you guys about the topic of real protection training. Training a dog to really engage on the street. Whether it's a police canine, whether it's a personal protection dog. I think that there are a lot of misconceptions out there about what goes into that training and what it takes for a dog to be able to do that. Number one, I think a lot of people can watch internet videos of dogs biting sleeves or dogs biting suits and be fooled into believing that that is a protection dog or that is a real police canine that will bite somebody for real on the street. And in many cases, they would be incorrect. The best analogy that I can draw to maybe help you understand is, think about it this way. Think about it if I said, I am a very dangerous street fighter. I can fight and defeat anybody that I come in contact with on the street. And you said to me, well, I don't believe you. You don't look like that kind of guy. Show me some proof. So my proof was a video of me wearing boxing gloves, striking a heavy bag. And that was my proof. Now, the average person would look at that and be like, well, there's a vast difference between you hitting the heavy bag and, fighting somebody who's not only trying to avoid your strikes, but also strike back at you. And you would be right if you said that. Now, I know, yes, if you're a professional in the fighting industry or the martial arts industry, you might be able to watch me hit that heavy bag and draw some reasonable conclusions about my skill. But the average person would not. And the same goes for watching a dog bite a sleeve or bite a suit. Now, a guy like me, I can watch a dog bite a sleeve or a suit and draw some reasonable conclusions as to the kind of dog he is and, how capable he might be in a real situation. But even still, I would need to see a lot more than that. And the same goes, I think for most people. So with protection training, I have divided the necessary components of what makes a dog that will engage for real. And I've come up with 4 broad categories that I think are essential components to what makes a dog that will engage for real. Again, whether it's a police dog or a personal protection dog, I think you need these 4 things. So number 1 is the dog. So a lot of people really underestimate this. Well, of course I have a dog, just train the dog. Well, I'm sorry, the vast majority of dogs are not going to be capable of this work, all right? Your dog needs to have the confidence, the stability, and the drive to perform this work. And the vast majority of dogs these days are not capable of it. And the reality is, regardless of breed, whether it's a German Shepherd or a Cane Corso, or whatever other guardian breed you want to come up with, a Malinois even, a lot of the dogs today are being bred for companion animals. They're being bred to be pets, essentially. They're being bred for the show ring. And the working qualities that are necessary in breeding selection to produce dogs that will actually work for real are being neglected, because that's really not what the vast majority of people that buy a dog these days are looking for. So that's something to keep in mind. So again, breed doesn't matter. You might have a Cane Corso, a German Shepherd, a Malinois even, and, be awfully surprised to find out that your dog really doesn't have what it takes to do any kind of real protection or apprehension work. So number 1 is the dog. Genetics are so important, guys. I can't stress that enough. I have other videos out there about how to select a good dog so that you can start with a good foundation with your puppy or with your adult dog if you're buying an adult dog. Number 2, grip development. Now, grip development is teaching your dog how to bite. Okay, so whether your dog bites frontally, whether your dog bites with a full mouth, whether your dog pushes, whether your dog pulls, a lot of these components are genetic, so what comes naturally to your dog, but a good trainer will be able to maximize your dog's ability when it comes to grip development. So teaching your dog to grip full, to grip hard, whether you're teaching a pushing or a pulling grip, doesn't particularly matter, but basically your dog's mouth is his primary weapon, and he needs to be able to use it and use it properly. So grip development is something that, again, you can start from a very early age, and you can teach your dog properly how to bite and how to win a fight. So grip development, very important. Number 3, scenarios. Okay, so scenarios are pictures that we show the dog, whether it's your typical bite work that you do in the training facility that you go to, or the training field that you go to. That's a picture. That's something your dog is very familiar with. You take your dog there a few times, believe me, they're going to come out of the car knowing that this is where bite work occurs. So a well-rounded protection dog, needless to say, needs to do training in more than just that circumstance or that scenario. You need to take that dog to different places. You need to do different scenarios, whether it's a carjacking scenario, whether it's an active threat or a passive threat, right? So active threats, somebody who's being very hostile, very threatening, somebody who's willing to fight your dog. Passive threat, somebody who's just lying still, not being responsive at all. So especially police canines need to do a lot of work with passive threats, because a lot of police canine bites are on suspects that are hiding, suspects that are being non-combative when the dog finds them, because they're trying to avoid being found by the dog. So, personal protection dog, maybe you don't want to be doing too much passive work, but police canine definitely. So a lot of different pictures you need to show the dog. Otherwise, your dog's only going to be able to maybe bite in a few places, and you take them, I don't know, if you're, maybe you get attacked in an alley and your dog's never done bite work, outside of the training field. And he's like, what the heck? We bite here? I've never heard this before, right? So you want to make sure your dog's exposed to many different scenarios, both from the decoy's perspective and also from the environmental perspective. So your dog is ready to engage in any situation. And number 4, and I think often neglected, is civil work. And this is the cherry on the cake, all right? Civil work, I can't remember what it's a short form for, but I'm going to explain civil work. Basically, the best definition of civil work that I've been able to come up with is work that you do with the dog without visible equipment, right? So a bite suit is visible equipment. A bite sleeve is visible equipment. A stick that the helper is holding or the decoy is holding is visible equipment. You want to prepare your dog for as close to the real situation as possible. So the best analogy, I think, for civil work is hard sparring. So like if you're preparing, for a real mixed martial arts fight or even a real boxing fight, you're going to do a lot of sparring, right? So it's preparing you for as close to the real thing as you can get. So civil work, this is where you're doing your muzzle work, your agitation by a decoy that has no visible equipment on, hidden sleeves. There's other stuff you can do. There's a lot of different methods when it comes to civil work, and a lot of different thoughts and systems. But at the end of the day, civil work is essential for rounding out your dog and preparing your dog to engage somebody who's not acting like a decoy and who doesn't look like a decoy, as in wearing the whole thing. So, a lot of people assume only dogs that bite hard sleeves are equipment focused. If they're not biting a hard sleeve, they're somehow a more real dog. Believe me, your dog knows the difference between somebody wearing a bodysuit and somebody not wearing a bodysuit. So you need to round out your dog's training with hidden equipment, muzzle work, and whatever else it is that you're going to do. So I think these 4 components, they're very broad. Okay, I didn't get into specifics. I think we could get into specifics at a later time. But these 4 categories or 4 areas are essential to creating a dog that will engage for real and be reliable in that kind of situation, whether it is a personal protection dog or a police canine. And I think depending on the dog, some dogs need a little bit more time to mature, so you have to kind of go at the dog's pace. So if you're seeing that the dog has maybe like grip development, like I said, you can start relatively early, but some dogs, they don't have much prey drive until they hit about 6-7 months of age. Civil work, there's a lot of mental pressure that goes into civil work. So it's, you wouldn't necessarily throw a 5-year-old in the ring, and force him to box for real. And it's the same thing with the dog. You're not going to be doing a lot of civil work with a 6-month-old puppy. You're not going to be doing really any civil work with a 6-month-old puppy, in my opinion. So you have to kind of go at the pace of the dog, see what the dog's comfortable with, see what the dog is expressing naturally, and then work within that stuff. So, I know I've said a lot here, and I've tried to show some examples as well. But if you think I forgot anything, or if you want to hear more about a specific subject, by all means, comment below, and maybe I'll include it in my next video. Anyways, thanks for watching, and if you like this video, please hit like and subscribe.